It is indeed an honor for me to introduce the speaker for today's commencement address. Attorney Sophia A. Nelson, Esquire. Attorney Nelson is an award-winning author, journalist, university scholar in Virginia. She currently serves as the USA Today columnist and contributing editor to the Washington Post. You can see her regularly on MSNBC, CNN, and PBS as legal and political analyst. She was more recently a scholar in residence and adjunct professor in the Department of Philosophy and Religion at Christopher Newport University. Earlier in her professional career, she served as an investigative counsel to the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Reform, and senior counsel with the international law firm of Holland & Knight, LLP. Attorney Nelson received her Juris Doctor degree from the American University College of Law in 1994 and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from San Diego State University in 1990. She is also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Let's give her a warm Jaguar welcome for serving as our commencement speaker. Attorney Sophia Nelson.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, President Chancellor Shields. It is my honor to be here with you today. Good morning, Southern University graduates! What a precious day this is in your life's long journey. I want to offer my heartfelt congratulations to the PhD, master's, and bachelor's degree graduates this morning. And a special thank you to all of you who serve in our armed forces through ROTC or as veterans using your GI Bill to further your education. You and your families deserve this wonderful achievement and this day of celebration. I am so deeply honored to be here once again in the capital city of the great state of Louisiana, Baton Rouge. This Virginia belle considers Louisiana her second home, as I am here so often for business and events. I want to say thank you to, where's that young man that sang the national anthem? Deterius Johnson, you killed it, well done. Thank you so much. To Mayor Broom, Provost Sahu, and the board chair, Shorty, and to all the board members present, to elected officials present, and to my Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority sisters and Southern University alumni chapters, Divine Nine members, faculty and staff, to Robin and Janine, who all helped to make this day possible, I greet you. Let me say before I begin that although today is a day of great pride and celebration here at Southern University, my heart hurts with the Southern University family on the loss of your three fellow students. Three wonderful young men taken from their families and their futures too soon. I think the lesson for us all is one I will get into deeper today, and that is this: that life is precious and life is fragile, and that we must endeavor to live each day to the full. May their memories be a blessing. My speech to you this morning will be a bit unusual for a commencement address, because I'm not going to say the usual things that speakers say at commencements. The time in which we are living right now, in the year of our Lord 2022, calls for me to dig deeper as your speaker and to push you to dig deeper as graduates. Yes, I want you to go out into the world boldly and to do good. Yes, I want to encourage you to use your ingenuity and creativity in the private sector or to serve in the public sector and maybe even run for public office. And yes, to certainly lend your voice to the critical policy debates of this century. All of that is good. But today, I'm going to give you a charge of a different kind. I'm going to talk to you about you and the power of you, the purpose of you, and lastly, to offer a charge to you as you leave this place with your new degrees in hand to, yes, go forth and change the world, but to do so by first loving, liking, and taking care of you first. The point I want you to get today, graduates, if you hear nothing else that I say, is this. Your most important relationship in life is the one you have with yourself. Let me start here. As we look at our nation right now, regardless of where you or I may sit politically, we are divided deeply. Just look at the Georgia Senate runoff this past week. We are angry, yelling at one another, and not hearing one another. We are a 50-50 nation, split down the middle on the very issues I just outlined. We no longer respect the other person's point of view. We instead demand conformity and uniformity of how we think, how we speak, and how we see the world. And if we don't like it, we go to war on social media, at the family dinner table, and even in our places of work. So then, how do we navigate this change while holding on to our own individuality, our own freedom, and our own values? Because like it or not, graduates, this is our new normal. This type of once-in-a-generation shift is going to require something different of you. It's going to require a new kind of worker, senior manager, executive, educator, student, military leader, soldier, professor, entrepreneur, engineer, nurse, doctor, creator, investor, and citizen. To meet this moment and to succeed, you will need three things. First, you will need to know yourself truly, to know your own strengths and weaknesses, what you want, what you need, and to check in regularly with yourself and ask, how am I feeling? You can't love, like, or help anybody else, graduates, until you love, like, and help you first. Secondly, you will need to develop good emotional intelligence with how you work with, engage, and have relationship with other people. And thirdly, you will need to focus on what we call soft skills or people skills: compassion, empathy, vulnerability, listening, true connection, and team building. Yes, graduates, your degrees matter. Yes, your skill sets matter. But in this new post-COVID-19 world, which has radically changed the way we work, love, look after, and engage one another, you need a new skill set. Prior to March 2020, we were all married to our jobs. We embraced hustle culture and phrases like, she's a beast. Or we like to say, let's go hard. Fast forward to December 2022, it has changed. The number of people quitting remains at the highest level since the 1970s. White-collar workers don't want to go back to the office. They want to stay remote. The world has shifted, and you graduates must shift with it to truly succeed. Data, post-COVID, tells us of a phenomenon happening in your generation, a phenomenon of loneliness, of feeling restless, and people wanting less workplace drama and politics and more lasting connections with other people and with themselves. Becoming an expert at your own self-worth and self-care, then, is managing your emotions and how you treat other people. And that, graduates, is the way that you win at life and in living. Today, my hope is to give you 7 life lessons I have learned the hard way now as a woman in my 50s. I have lived more than a half century, and there are things that I now know to be true. I hope that by sharing some of the wisdom I have gleaned throughout my 30s and 40s, and of course my 20s, that I can help you to avoid some of the pitfalls of life, and to inspire you most of all, don't miss this, to inspire you most of all today to become good human beings before you become good at anything else. I want to start with something that when I was your age, we didn't talk about: self-care. I want to challenge you today to do something radical, and that is to take your power back and use that power to transform not just who you are, but to help transform the lives of everyone you meet by mastering your emotional IQ. What is emotional IQ, you ask, Sophia? I'm glad you asked me. By emotional IQ, I simply mean understanding your own needs, wants, past traumas, strengths, and weaknesses, and those of the people you work with and connect with and are in relationship. We are in the middle of a cultural revolution in our country right now. We text instead of talking. We ghost instead of having courageous conversation. We block, we delete, we video strangers in the parking lot having fights. Or, as in the case of George Floyd, we stop to capture a world-changing event that helped justice to be done. We Zoom, we DM, we avoid, we hide behind the safety of our keyboards and our iPhones. And we like it that way. Only we really don't. We all long for a deeper connection, a deeper love, a deeper trust, and deeper faith. We long for meaning in our lives, in our work, and most of all, in our relationships with other people. As I look out at all of you here today, it makes me remember my own college graduation. And the world has changed dramatically since then. The advances in technology, the instantaneous connectivity of the internet, and the powerful influence of social media on our public discourse, our human interaction, and our national elections even is unparalleled in human history. Our iPhone and Android phones have changed the way we connect as human beings. The impact of all the noise and the busyness in our lives has changed us. It has shortened our patience. It has shortened our attention spans. And most of all, it has changed the way we live, love, work, and even rest. Yes, the world has changed, and we have changed with it. And after 2 years of COVID-19, working from home, Zooming, career changes, and life changes, we have all, and I underscore all, been through a once-in-a-generation global human event that forces us now to understand that mental health and wellness is the #1 issue we must all confront. Tragically, graduates, and you know this well, depression, mental distress, and anxiety are all on the rise on our nation's college campuses. It's always been there, just hidden beneath the surface. Thankfully, we now have the power to discuss it and address it. So let's talk about it. At no time in the history of the world have corporations, industry, nations, universities, and governmental entities been more focused on the wellness of their workforce, employees, and leaders. We are at an incredible inflection point. I think we can all agree that our nation is at a crossroads. We are at a critical place of decision. Who are Americans going to be in the 21st century? Are we going to be a kind, generous, and good people? Or are we going to be a nation of social media bullies, people who want to suppress both free speech and free thought, and people who are afraid, fragile, and withdrawn instead of being willing to boldly speak their minds, share their views, and allow others to do the same? My suggestion to you is this: it all starts with self, with who you want to be, graduates, with how you treat and honor yourself, and with how you practice self-care. It all comes down to a choice. We have to choose authenticity transparency, and honesty first with ourselves. And only then can we give that to other people. Graduates, life is all about choices. Life is 100% about the choices you make. So let me say this before we get into the 7 quick life lessons. Choose things that bring you peace, things that make you happy, people that love you and who are there for you. So focus on the things that bring you joy and peace and happiness and stay there. Your generation has a unique call. You must pick up the mantle of this time, and you must lead differently than your grandparents or great-grandparents before them. Your generation knows so much more than we did. You have so many more healthy life tools at your disposal. You have full permission to talk about your feelings and to ask for help when you need it. My generation had Oprah, but it was still taboo to talk about mental health and family secrets and childhood or life trauma. You are free to do so. So please take full advantage of it. You have an opportunity to do what no other generation before you has ever done, and that is to lead and to do your work with human compassion, human empathy, and human well-being at the core of all you do. In that spirit, I offer you these 7 life lessons I have learned that I share in my newest book titled, Be the One You Need. 21 life lessons I learned taking care of everyone but me. All right, so let's do this. Get ready to tweet, get ready to use the hashtag SUGrad2022, and use the hashtag FinishStronger. Okay, you guys ready? And tag me at I am Sophia Nelson, and I will retweet and share when I'm finished speaking. All right, let's go. Life lesson number 1 that I learned. Get out of their box. Get out of their box. What am I saying? I'm saying this. You are your own person. You're not what they told you. You're not what they said about you. You're not what they called you. You do not have to continue generational curses in your family. You can be you, and you do not have to be in anybody's box. Remember, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. You are not in anybody's box. Number 2, take care of your own mental health and wellness first. Reframe your thoughts. Now, I'm going to go off script a little bit here. Listen, I want to talk to black women for a minute. There's no group on earth, brothers, you too, and to everyone listening, but I need to talk to the sisters. There's nobody on earth that does more, that gives more, that cares more than us. And we will work to the bone, and we will sacrifice. We won't buy ourselves a pair of shoes to make sure our kids and our families get what they need, and that's okay. But sisters, we're tired, and we need to rest. And so what I'm telling you is, you better start taking care of you first, and you better reframe your thoughts about how you're thinking about your life. Because as I said in the subtitle of my book, taking care of everyone but me. Don't let that be you. Life lesson number 3, and this one's important, particularly as you're just starting out and journeying out into the world. Get out of your own way. Now listen, let me say that again, you didn't hear that. Get out of your own way. You know, this generation, and I'm going to talk about y'all for a second, you like to blame folks, y'all get into these social media wars, you ghost, like I said, you cut off, you do all that. You need to stop that, because that's not going to help you in life. But the biggest thing you need to learn is that you grow through mistakes, you grow through wisdom, you grow through your mentors and your sponsors. Be coachable. Get out of your own way. Most of the time in your life's journey, you're going to discover that you are the problem. So I'm telling you now, get out of your own way, learn to take wise counsel, learn to be coachable, because you don't know it all. How could you possibly know it all? It gets back to knowing yourself and being self-aware and knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at. Life lesson number 4. This one's important. Know the things that you need to leave behind in order to move ahead. Now listen, there's not a person in this room over 40 years of age who wouldn't sit you down and say, boy, if only I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, or my 25-year-old self, or my 30-year-old self. Listen. This one matters, but this requires that emotional intelligence I'm talking about. Some of you and young sisters, let me talk to you again. If you don't know your value, he never will. Stop dwelling with negative people. Stop being around negative people. Stop taking that stuff in. That's not where you're going. You need to, as my nana used to say, you need to cut some folks, and some folks you need to untie from. And you have to know the difference between when to cut and when to untie. The next one, life lesson number 5, and we're almost done. This one is something you guys are familiar with. Don't sweat your haters. Use them as fuel for your success. What am I saying? As the kids say, haters gonna hate. Listen, and Dr. Brene Brown calls them near enemies. Near enemies. That means they're people that are right near you who you think are friends and they're not friends. Again, this gets back to emotional intelligence and being able to read the room and knowing who's for you and who's against you and who's with you and who celebrates you. Pay attention. Because you don't need to waste any of your time focused on who hates you, who's talking bad about you, and who doesn't like you. What other people say about you is none of your business. Keep it moving and keep going. Life lesson number 6. And this is one you guys need. Mind your manners because they matter. Manners have not gone out of style. Manners will save you in ways you have no idea. I tell a story in my book about being a young committee counsel. I'm all of 28 years old and I'm working in the United States Congress. I'm the first black woman to hold my post. And I get a note from my boss that Justice Clarence Thomas has seen me on C-SPAN and wants me to come see him. And I was like, no, I didn't want to go. I was like, Mom, I'm not going. I don't want to. I mean, you know, my mom was like, he's a Supreme Court justice. I know what you're thinking. I understand you supported Anita Hill, but a Supreme Court justice called you and you need to go. So I go to his chambers. We end up having a great conversation, and he simply wanted to say, I'm proud of you. You've done a great job, whatever. Fast forward a number of years later, it's time for me to be sworn in to the bar of the Supreme Court. And I couldn't get any tickets to get my family in because I waited too late. And I remembered that I knew Justice Thomas. And when Justice Thomas's mother died, I had sent a card and a note. And he was really touched by that handwritten card and that handwritten note, and he kept it. So when I called and I said I needed help, he said, no problem, I got you, bring your family. What's the moral of the story? Had I not gone to see him that day because I had an attitude, had I not followed up with a handwritten note, and when his mother passed away, a note of condolence, when I needed help, I couldn't go to him. I want you to understand this is going to happen throughout your life. So mind your manners. Send the note. Graduates, hear me on this. Write the note, not a text, not an email. Get you some stationery and write the note. Say thank you. Hold the doors open for your elders. Listen. Be respectful. It will serve you in ways you have no idea down the road. And the last life lesson is one of my favorites. And that is, go where the love is in your life. Stop being the go-to for people you can't go to. Let me say that again. Go where the love is. Stop being the go-to for people you can't go to. I'm going to end my remarks with a story from the Bible. And you'll remember this story, but I'm going to make a point. I mentioned earlier that my grandmother used to say, baby, you better know your front row. What she was saying to me is, who are the people around you? Who has your back? Who's going to be there when times are hard? You better have some real friends. You better know your row. So when I say stop being the go-to for people you can't go to, it's illustrated best in the book of Mark, chapter 2, around verse 2. And as the Bible records, there were these friends, and they had a friend who was paralyzed. And he had never walked in his life, and he laid on a mat. And one day these friends heard that Jesus was coming into town. Now, I'm in Louisiana, so I can say Jesus. And one day, they heard that Jesus was coming into town, and so they said, well, look, why don't we take our friend and see if we can take him to this Jesus guy? So the Bible records that they picked up his mat. Don't miss this. They picked up his mat, and they carried him to Peter's house. Now, you know Peter. Peter's got a party at his house, and everybody's there. And everybody's got the same idea because they want to see Jesus and they want to get healed. Well, when they get to Peter's house, they can't get in because the line's too long. Now, some of your friends and some of my friends would have left us laying on the ground and said, look, I tried to get you in the door, but I can't get you in, so okay. That's not what these friends did. What these friends did was they carried him up a hill, and the Bible says they cut a hole through Peter's roof and they lowered him down. What am I saying to you? I'm telling you, you better get you some Mark chapter 2 friends. You better get you some friends that'll carry you up a hill and drop you down and get your healing. Graduates, thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Attorney Nelson, for those inspiring words. Let's give her another round of applause. Here is a gift, an honor, and it says, Sophia A. Nelson, award-winning author and journalist, keynote speaker, Fall 2022 Commencement for exemplary service and dedication, December 9th, 2022, Southern University and A&M College, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.